We know how much you love talking about player feedback, and we do too. What's up, everybody? This is Let's Talk Customer Feedback, and I'm your host, Natalie. Thanks for listening, and thanks for telling your Player Insights Pro friends about us. This is Season 3, so let's get right into it. The gaming industry expects another booming year in both excitement and sales. But with the launch of many new games comes the realization that the market becomes even more crowded and the bar is raised yet again in all aspects, including games' complexity levels, design, story, and character features. So, can leveraging player feedback help with this? Let's find out with today's special guest.
Can we make the world a better place through video games? Hello, and welcome to Affogata's podcast, Let's Talk Customer Feedback. I'm your host, Caro, and today we have the pleasure of hosting Mickael Dell'ova, player experience designer at Remedy Entertainment and accessibility, diversity, and inclusion specialist. Micka, hello, how are you? How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, especially because I am with you today.
Oh, Micka, listen, we don't go a long way, but we've met before. We share so many interests, and it's so much fun to have you today in the podcast. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
So let's get to know Micka a little bit before we jump into our main topic today, which I'm of course extremely excited to talk about. But I wanna ask you, Micka, a few questions. Who are you, Mickael? 3 words to describe you. Come on, shoot.
I would say empathetic, committed, and honest, but with a pinch of humor.
It's true. Without that pinch of humor, all the rest is not really worth it. And let's think about something else. If you would have a time machine, would you travel to the past or to the future, and to when?
Okay, for sure, in the future. I'm not a nostalgic guy, and I'm always looking forward. And in my discipline, for example, I always try to innovate and be a step ahead. And I would probably be the next year to see if the event around inclusion in video games I am creating meets a great success.
Wow, and we wish you great success. And although I do know about this event, I want you to share everything with our listeners today. And so we'll talk about it more in depth. But the last question that I have about you is, what's your favorite project of all time?
Yes, so my favorite project is the event I'm working at the moment.
I can't believe it!
Yeah, because it's going to bring together everything I like to do, ethics, human consideration, knowledge sharing, and video games. And yeah, of course, some amazing people I've been lucky enough to meet along my journey in video game industry. So yeah, sorry, I'm obsessed with this project, but...
And you should be. I think it was one of the first things that, Micka and I, we met in the past through one of our co-founders, and obviously online, like many things that happen today. And I think one of the first things that made me feel a strong connection with you and understand your passion is this amazing project that you're working on. And can you remind us when are you planning to launch, or around when?
Next year in June for the diversity and pride month. So surely in June. I don't have the exact date, but yeah, this is the project of my life which gathers talented and inspiring people with common goal to make the world a better place through video games. So yeah,
and that's exactly what we're here to talk about today. You gave me the hook, so we're gonna take it. So with that crazy story in mind, I don't know how that's gonna sound in the podcast. We can't wait to hear what Micka has to say about all this. So let's start. Micka, are you ready? I'm starting with the questions.
Yes, I'm ready.
Yes, let's do it. So first question, of course, let's start with a bit more about your background and how you started this journey as an accessibility, diversity, and inclusion specialist. And where do you think that the games industry stands in this regard?
Yeah, I think everything started from my relationship with video games. I come from a low social background. I have a cognitive disability and I'm gay. Yeah, it's a full diversity package. So I have always found myself different and not being part of the norm. And video game for me have always been a safe place, a sort of window on the world. And before video games, I had a first career in web design, but yeah, I was looking for more meaning in my life to answer my deepest calling. That's why at the age of 30, I decided to go back to school to learn game design, and with the goal to create this safe space for others, the ones who need it most, the forgotten ones. So in this regard, the video game industry is making progress, but it's still a long way off. And in my opinion, the main problem is unconscious biases and preconceived ideas.
I understand. And I think that, well, that's something that we're going to mention a little bit later when I will show you a little bit more. What we found using Affogata, we found some mentions of this topic. And one of the people who were like commenting about it, he said like, and this doesn't only apply to games, it also applies to every other form of media, even books and movies.
Clearly.
100%. So thank you so much. So of course we read your articles and we are, first of all, like, you know, many of us are exposed for the first time to this topic and all of us are inspired by all of it. In one of your articles, you have a phrase written that says, in a video game, you can be whoever you want, but above all, you should be able to be yourself. I found that phrase very close to my heart. And can you please tell us more about this phrase and if you think people actually do feel themselves when playing video games nowadays?
Wow, I said that? No, yeah, I kidding. Yes.
You did?
Yes, it's totally me. Yeah, yes.
It's a great phrase. You need to trademark it.
Yes, in fact, it refers to what I said before about my childhood. When you are outside the norm, on the fringes of society, whether it's for disability, gender identity, or sexuality, you need to escape reality more than anyone else. And that's the magical power of video games. And this is why it's so crucial that game developers are careful to offer inclusive experiences, because society reminds us every day that we are different. We don't need a video game to recall it when we are trying to escape the reality by just playing video games.
I absolutely understand. And the same thing, like inclusion, like you're saying, like, why do you have to feel someone else when you want to be yourself? It goes also into people with special capabilities, right? And I'm sure that's something that also is, they also feel the same way. And representation in the media is extremely important, and it's something that until now we don't see much. And I saw a recent trend earlier this month, and it reminded me of what we're discussing today. I don't know if you saw that Disney released the new Little Mermaid movie, and Ariel is actually African American. And well, of course, like everyone had something to say about that, and people filmed little girls reacting to this, and it brought tears to my eyes, looking at how important representation is. And in video games, it is really shocking to see that there's almost no LGBTQ plus character representing the community. And why do you think this is? And do you see the industry changing anytime soon?
Yeah, there are more and more of them. The Last of Us series, Overwatch, or Dead by Daylight, for example, do a great job on representations. But on the other hand, there is still no AAA solo game with an openly gay male hero. And yeah, in my opinion, there are two main reasons for this. One is that from a marketing point of view, video game studios think that gamers are not ready for that and therefore won't buy a game because of this. And the other is that the majority of video game projects are led by white heterosexual men who don't make this type of topic a priority because they are not simply concerned about that. And it's always the topic of objectivity and bias in video game industry, but and in a lot of other industry.
Yes, and it's very interesting what you say about the marketing these games and the fear that there is, but we see in other media forms like movies and books, we see that this has advanced a lot more than in my opinion, in the games industry. So I think there is, I think there is a future, and I wish that AAA studios or bigger game studios, they will take this jump and take this risk like movies did and books. I'm not saying that movies and books are there. They're just not there yet either, but I do see a lot more representation than in video games. And can you please tell us a little bit more about some games that have included characters that represent the LGBTQ community, Plus community, in their games? And if you could please tell us, as someone from the community, what would you really like to see in games that include the LGBTQ plus community or any other underrepresented communities in the industry?
Yeah, as I wrote in my article on the importance of queer representation in video game, I have two examples that I find relevant in terms of representation of gay main character. The first would be in Overwatch from Blizzard, by officially assuming that one of its most played character is openly gay. Overwatch has firstly broken the preconceived idea that player would stop playing a game because a very played character is gay. But more importantly, has brought a representation of a gay man as a strong male figure, ex-military, elite shooter, far from the typical gay friend, often, fashion consultant or shallow joker, only interested in partying, shopping, and drinking margaritas. And I love margaritas. Margaritas, but that's not really the point.
That's not the only thing you can do, I guess. If not, you wouldn't be talking so sober here.
Yeah. The second video game studio to take very positive action on queer representation is Behavior Interactive with Dead by Daylight. And the studio, which is no stranger to diversity and representation, has announced recently, a few months ago, that one of its iconic characters is also gay. And once again, what is interesting in that David King is moving away from the usual stereotype that has been served to us for years. And I'm not saying that we should all represent gay men in this way, just that is refreshing to be reminded that identities are diverse and that stereotypes are and unconscious biases are frequent.
That's amazing. David King being the character, right?
Yeah.
The character, yeah. Okay. I honestly, I don't know. Dead by Daylight. Yeah. I will check it out following this. But you know what you're saying now about this David King character being like moving away a little bit from this usual stereotype that we often see. We used Affogata. I'm just gonna remind people who don't know what we do. Like we're like an AI-driven player feedback analytics platform. We gather and we analyze every player feedback from the open web, and from internal sources for game studios. So what we did is that we took the liberty to open a stream on this topic before our episode, Micka. And one of the comments we found on, I think it was Reddit, the user says, actually, I'm trying to read it here, there are not enough high fantasy games where you also get to be LGBTQ plus, like slice of life stuff is boring to me. Let me fight dragons and also be gay. And by the way, he says here that books and movies too. What do you think about that? It's exactly what we were talking about before.
Yeah, it's close of what I said before. For me, it shows how important it is to think about game system in an inclusive way, and it echoes the stakes of accessibility. There is also unconscious or conscious assumed homophobia sometimes, but it's more the unconscious is sometimes driven by a lack of knowledge, but our only goal as game developers should be to make games for everyone, which are not dividing and which leave each player the freedom to be whoever they want, the freedom to dream. And of course, we also have to be reasonable. The goal is not to put, a rainbow flags and unicorns everywhere and make all
Absolutely.
our character gays. It has to be logical in terms of narration and player experience. We just need video games that mirror our society and that break stereotypes and preconceived ideas, because it is dangerous and we have this responsibility to evolve some topics. It's a big responsibility.
Amazing. I just wanna say that I was super surprised to see that we found over 16,000 mentions of this in the last, I think it was 3 months, if I'm not wrong. No, from June till today. So 16,000 mentions talking about inclusivity and games. And I'm going to read just one more, and then I'm going to add in the description of the episode, I'm just saying this to our listeners, we're going to add some of them so that you can also read them. But for the moment, I'm just going to share one more with you. And it's a little bit of a controversial one. And in my opinion, I don't agree. But this person, Gigi Reloaded, wrote, not every product is or has to be made for everyone in the same way. Not every game is, which is why there's a rating. Gaming isn't about inclusion or exclusion. It's about the artists' or developers' visions and having no difficulty setting their prerogative. What do you say about that?
It's really close of what I said just before. You have to be reasonable in the representation. The goal is not to put a rainbow flag everywhere.
Yeah, you're right.
We have to. I'm working on Alan Wake, and I'm not providing the idea that Alan Wake is gay. It's not logic, and it's just to have little piece of representation, little piece of everyone in games. Just to have some representation and some media saying to them, you have the right to be like this, and that exists because when you live in the little town, for example, or in difficult country about these topics, you need to have something to grab, to just love love themselves.
Yeah, it's so true. And first of all, thank you so much for your time, Micka. I know we spoke about your event in the beginning, but we're going to talk about it again now. Remind us again. We're going to help you push this amazing event. So around next June, we're going to see.
Yeah, I'm creating an event for everyone around the creation of video games, but integrating all the ethical and social topics in the design process. More exactly, objectivity, inclusion, and accessibility. It is in fact a game jam. The name is the Ethical Game Jam. And the goal is to bring together participants who will, in teams, have to create a video game around an ethical theme by including constraints of inclusion, representation, and accessibility. And the teams will be guided by mentors and final jury members who are prestigious diversity champions from the video game industry. And yeah, I'm also starting to get some great partner, but yeah, I can't say much more. I'm still keeping.
Don't share until it's done. And okay, so once we have something to share, we will also of course add to the description of the podcast whenever you will have a landing page or something to share.
Yeah, I'm working on it because yeah.
I know. That's what we're saying. Whenever you do, we will update the description and we will share it in our comments. And Micka, it was as always a big pleasure to talk to you. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time to participate. I know you're super busy. Micka just recently moved from one country to the other, and he managed to have time to talk to us. In my opinion, this has been one of the most interesting and important podcast episodes we've had because it does shed light on a very important and close topic to my heart. And I would like to thank you for sharing your insights and your knowledge with us.
Thank you for giving me a voice. So thank you.
And that's it for today. Let's Talk Customer Feedback is a podcast made for player insights professionals, player feedback enthusiasts, gaming industry experts, and anything in between. The podcast is created by Affogata, the AI-driven player feedback analytics platform that cuts through the noise and brings you the player insights that move the needle. In each episode, we have a special guest from the industry, including Affogata's own customers that share their knowledge on what player feedback and the voice of the customer means for them and the companies they work at. Follow Let's Talk Customer Feedback on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. If you'd like to know more about Affogata and what it does, go to affogata.com and get more info on our social media, searching for Affogata on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. See you next time. Don't keep your players waiting.